Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by PILMA. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Today I'm joined by Ken Hardison, the president of PILMA and of counsel at Hardison & Cochran. With years of success running his own legal practice, Ken has successfully used his experience to launch the cutting-edge association, PILMA. Now Ken works with attorneys across the nation, guiding them to reach their professional ambitions. How are you today, Ken?
Doing great.
Thank you so much for appearing.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on.
Can you tell us about your background and how you got involved with personal injury law?
Yeah, it was kind of wild, really. I think it really started back when I was small. My mother got in a wreck, had a lawyer, and I don't think she really did not hire the right lawyer. Suffice to say, it didn't work out really good for us. But I think I was in the back of my mind, but I've always been the kind that wanted to be my own boss, just to be honest with you. And I grew up very, very poor. In fact, I was between my junior and senior year, my parents moved to another city about an hour and a half away. And I was team captain of the football team. I had a full-time job working as a meat cutter at a local store in town, and had a girlfriend there. And I just really wanted to stay there. And so my parents said, okay, but you're on your own. And so I guess between my junior and senior year, that summer they moved. I got a little room I rented for like $15 a week. But you got to understand, this is back in 78, 79, 78. No, shoot, no. Yeah, no, I'm so old. 1974. I was thinking about college. Yeah, so 74. Damn, I was getting old. I toyed with being a CPA, a trust officer at a bank. And then I was dating this girl, the one that I didn't want to leave, and she babysit a lot. So when I get off of work, like on a Friday, Saturday night, I go over, she babysitted for a lot of lawyers. And I would talk to them. Of course, they come back, they'd be drinky, a little drinky. And so they talk, they were talking, and I had a lot, me, I'm a sponge. I mean, I'm always trying to figure out. And, she did some of them that were PI lawyers, some of them that were criminal. And I liked what they were doing. And I said, and they had their own business. I said, and they're helping people that need to be helped, like my mom, right? And I decided this is what I want to do. So I grew up in a small town in North Carolina, about 10,000 people. They had a small school about 15 miles away called Campbell University. I got a scholarship to go there. Plus I was still working, cutting meat. And I was able to get a scholarship, and they started a law school my sophomore year. And it was going to be something real different. They were going to really, because we had Duke, Wake Forest, Carolina. We had some great law schools, don't get me wrong, right? Really great law schools in the state. But they were going to really focus on two things: trial work and North Carolina law. And, you got to take the North Carolina bar. I knew that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to have my own practice. So I just stayed there, changed my major to political science / pre-law. I got in real good with the head of the department. He liked me. A recommendation from him was solid. I mean, anybody he ever recommended to the law school got in. And me and two other people out of that department were able to get in. And so I went there and got married my sophomore year too. I had two kids in law school, and one right before my first semester exams and one right before my last semester exams, my third year. So anyway, I got a job with this law firm that did PI. I had been working with him during the summer. They gave me a job whether I passed the bar or not, because I kind of wanted that guarantee because of my family. I had two kids. And so, I passed the bar, I worked there, and this guy was a workaholic. I mean, we worked 7 days a week. We got off Sunday morning, basically was it. And I was a big Carolina fan. I got accepted to Carolina both times, but I decided to go to Campbell because I got scholarships both times. Got a scholarship to go to law school too, very lucky. But I wanted to go to watch Carolina. I think we played Clemson when Lawrence Taylor was on that team, Clemson, no Carolina. And he said, well, no, I can't let you off Saturday. And I just got to thinking about it. I said, well, I was too short. I'd only been working there about 3 months. I just walked back in. I said, I'm resigning. I said, I'm going to the ball game. I said, I can walk out now, or I can work till you get somebody in to replace me. Because he had a thriving PI practice. And I like that. I like that law. So I stayed there, and I moved back to my hometown, the one that, not the one that my parents lived in, but the one that I grew up in, where I went to high school at, and hung out my own shingle. And about a year later, law firm right across the street, had been there since 1929 or something. It's like 3 generations of lawyers and their families all went to Wake Forest. And they kept associating me on cases. It was basically a father and a son. The father was getting in his 80s, and he just didn't want to go to court anymore. I was full of piss and vinegar. I was ready to go to court every day. Didn't know any better. And they after about a year of doing that, they said, well, we want to offer you a partnership. Not an associate, but a partnership. And that just floored me. And I said, hell yeah, let's do it. But I generated business. I was hometown. I knew everybody. And I did a lot of networking, and didn't have a lot of money to do marketing, though, to be honest with you. I just did a lot of networking. All my family was in there, friends. And I got hooked up with a bunch of lawyers in town, the older ones. And I just go to their office and I say, hey, listen, any case you don't want, I'll take it. You got any legal research you want done, I'll do it. I said, I'll do anything. I said, I'm trying to feed my family. I said, I'll do anything. Junk work, shit work that you don't want, I'll do it. I have no problem. And that helped too, that first year before I got in with that firm. And then I was doing a little bit of everything when I went over there. Did mostly this criminal PI, small corporations. It was a small town. Most of the lawyers were just general practitioners. I didn't do domestic. I hated domestic. I got out of real estate and wills. My partner did that. And then this is where everything really changed. I was going to court one day, criminal court, tried DWI. I was pretty good at DWIs. The last year I tried, when I quit doing them, I tried 52 and a 148. But that was back when judges would actually listen to the evidence. It's a little different where I live now. It's pretty much you're presumed guilty until proven innocent. It's just I've been to the South and Bible Belt. It's hard. But a guy comes walking in the courtroom on crutches. And I said, Joe, I said, I said, what happened? He said, I got hit by a semi. I said, well, I do that. He said, yeah, but I decided to hire this lawyer off TV. I figure he must really be good if he knows, if he's on TV. Well, this lawyer was a great marketer, but he really wasn't a great lawyer, but he was a great businessman. And I went back to I tried the case, went back to my office, and I sat down with my 2 partners in. I had 2 then. I said, we got to change with the times. I said, all we had was just a little yellow page ad. I said, we got to change with the times. We got to adapt. They said, well, we make it sound professional. This was like in 95, 94, somewhere in there. Because my business had been like that, going up. And then all of a sudden, about 2 years, it just started flattening out. And then the last year it went down. I said, I'm a better lawyer, doing a better job. What's going on? But it was TV. I mean, that's really was the big deal. And yellow pages, big trunks. I mean, everybody doing double trunks and everything. So, we had that conversation for about 6 months to 9 months. And I finally just said, guys, I'm going to just break off. I said, I hate it, but, I'll never forget my older partner. He said, this is just a terrible, I said, listen, this is like a divorce. There's no good time. I said, hey, I like you. I love you. I said, but we got different visions. I said it. And everybody else in the town was complaining about it, that nobody's going to do anything about it. I said, I'm going to do something about it. At least I'm going to try. I can't not try. And so I left and took one of the associate lawyers, because we had grown. We had like 2 associates, 3 partners in. So we had grown. So we'd been doing good in a small town. But I took 1 staffer and I hired 2 more. So we had 3 staff. And then I went and just studied everywhere I could about marketing. From Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham, read every book I could read, whatever seminar. It was nothing out there for lawyers, I promise you. It was like 96, 95. And I'd take those principles, and then I sat down and I said, because I'd been practicing from 82 to 95. I've been practicing 12, 13 years. I mean, I was making a good living, but I was working myself to death too. I was working 60, 70 hours a week, but I was making good money. And I just felt like there was a better way. And I felt like if we didn't do something that the TV lawyers were going to take over. Whether I was right or wrong, that's the way I felt. So I went out, and everything back then, there was no capital. You had to just borrow it. You couldn't borrow it on a law firm because there was nothing that they could take to the courthouse and sell if you defaulted on the loan. So I had to take all the real estate I had accumulated in 12, 14 years, put it up, get a $500,000 line of credit, and I went on TV, and it went crazy. And I mean, like crazy. I was not ready for it. We went from signing 20 cases up to 100, over 100 in like 90 days. You can't do that now, by the way. It takes a year to 2 years to get some traction if you go on TV against the saturation now. But back then I got in it when it was young, right? It'd been 10 years, it'd been in, 8 to 10 years, but it was still in its infancy. And I didn't know what to do, man. I got really depressed. And this woman came in, and she had helped the law firm in another area grow the firm, and they did some TV. And she was looking for a job. And I said, yeah. And thank God I did, because she was all about systems, processes, HR. And I didn't know a damn thing about it. I was like, I just did what she told me to do. I knew how to, I had a pretty good job marketing, and I didn't mind trying cases. I won't say I was the best trial lawyer, but I wasn't scared to go try cases. I probably tried over 150 jury cases before I retired in 2010. And I don't know how many non-jury. I have no idea, probably over 500. Because I did Social Security, I did workers' comp, I did criminal, and I did, just different things. But that's a long-winded story, but you want to know how I got into PI and how I got into deal. I mean, that's kind of it. And when 5 years later, we were at 13 lawyers and 47 staff, and it just really exploded. And I was pouring all my profits. I take just enough out to live. I won't live in what they call down here high on the hog. I got everything I needed for sure, but I won't buy big fancy cars or big boats or airplanes or nothing like that. I put it all back in it, and that had a lot to do with it. I was just trying to really build it up. And so, like, I was the second biggest spender in Raleigh TV market, which was back then like the 26th largest TV market in the United States. I didn't start out that way, but by the time, after 5 years, I just kept going up and going up. That's the deal.
So what inspired you to create Pilma?
Yeah, so I sold out in 2010. I said, I built this thing up. I was 52. I said, I want to go down, but I didn't want to go far because I wanted to be near my mother. Still lived in my hometown. I moved down to Myrtle Beach. I like to play golf. I love to fish. I like warm weather.
Sure.
And so I moved down here. And so I still live here. And, I played a bunch of golf and everything, and I kind of was getting bored. And lawyers were calling me and want to come down and pick my brain. How'd you do this, Ken? How'd you grow so fast? How you get ready to retire at 52, man? What's the deal? And to be honest with you, my wife said, Ken, I mean, it was like every week. She says, you need to do something and start charging for this. Because I said, well, I don't know. I said, So I started out Pilma, Personal Injury Lawyers Marketing Management Association, kind of as a hobby, to be honest with you. Charged a little bit, did some consulting charge. But that's one reason I like PI law. I really like helping people. I get a charge out of that. And I like helping lawyers because I think if I can help them, especially the good lawyers, because if the good lawyers don't market, then all that's left is crummy lawyers out there marketing for the people that really need them, right? But they don't know the difference. I mean, maybe a little bit more now with reviews, but they can be really good business people and not really be good lawyers. I mean, I've seen some great law firms fold up because they would not adapt as far as they thought it was unprofessional, And I understand that concept. I think it is a profession, but I think it also, you got to run it like a business. I mean, when it comes to watching, your numbers and things, but I still think the client comes first. Never sell out. I never sell out the client. That was my big deal. I was so entrenched about that I had a client service manual that people had to read and sign it. They read it, and then they had to take a test before they could work with my law firm. we had deals where you had to call them the lawyers had to call them every 45 days. Staff member had to call them every 30 days. And they didn't get their bonuses unless they met 90%. I had quarterly bonuses if they met certain financial goals. But if they did, even if they met their financial goals, if they didn't do the client service, then no. And we were really into client, because I know the best cases came from referrals, even though I was doing TV, Yellow Pages, billboards. I still looked at everything, and the best cases I got came from referrals from other clients, for the most part with me. Didn't get a lot of referrals from other lawyers because they were jealous. They didn't like me. I mean, really, I got my whole career, I never got a bar complaint from a client. I got 4 or 5 from lawyers, and of course I won them every one, because other than one time I did direct mail to, and my printer screwed up by 1/8 of an inch on something, because this is an advertisement that had to be as big or bigger than your logo. And some lawyer got it and measured it, and it was like 1/8 of an inch off. So I had to throw away about $10,000 worth of stationery. I mean, of envelopes.
That's
and what can I say? I mean, I measured it, and he was right. I told the bar, I said, "Hey, you're right." And listen, no excuses. I know the buck stops here, but let me explain what happened. And it was the printer, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do, or my staff didn't. And I take responsibility. I mean, what else are you going to do? I mean, but other than that, I had forgot about that. But the rest of them were just junk, because we had a thing. We had a client bill of rights. We had a client advocate hotline. We really pushed it. Like, our tagline was always putting you first. And we got that by interviewing like 100 of our past clients that had referred us cases. And we asked them what made us different than other law firms, because you want to figure out what. You got to stand out, right? Sure. And they said, it's not about the money with you as far as for your fee. It was always putting us first. You always put us first, our case first, before you did your firm. And they knew that, because I ingrained it in all my staff, my lawyers. I said, we'll never take more than the client, no matter what, their day in court, we'll give it to them. And I think that got us, when I sold out, we were spending like $2 million a year, which was 14 years ago. But 42% of our cases came from old clients. That 42% is not a big deal if you're not spending a lot of money on marketing. But when you're spending that much money on marketing, it's a big deal.
Sure.
It's a big deal. I mean, we were probably signing up 200 cases a month, and probably 80 of them came from old clients.
That's great.
So I'm a big advocate of Jay Abraham. I didn't learn it from him, but he mentored me some. And he had this doctrine of preeminence. Well, everything you do should be for the betterment of your client or your customer. He said customer, I said, well, client, for me, right? And so that was one of my core values. We go by the doctrine of preeminence. Everything we do should be for the betterment of the client. The golden rule, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Sure.
Put them first. And I think it was just ingrained in our culture and my values. And people that didn't have it didn't stay there long, to be honest with you. We never claimed that we could get you the most money or anything. We just claimed that we would treat you right, and you'd be first, and we'd look after you, and we'd answer your calls, and because that's always been important. Number one problem: lawyers don't call clients back, and they don't keep them updated on what's going on. We did that.
So along those lines, Ken, what should an injured person look for when trying to find a law firm?
Well, I think you want to look at somebody that's proven that they've got a track record of winning, but also, and you can do that by looking at their reviews, and you can look at that by not just looking at them but reading them. But also, I think you need to talk to them and see if it's a good fit. It can be the greatest law in the world, but if you just don't feel right with the way they talk, then I don't think you probably, I want it to be a good fit. It's like I tell people when they join our masterminds, I give them the money back. I said, you come to the first meeting, if you don't think it's a good fit, I give you, why would I want your money if it's not a good fit? That's not smart. Then I'm going to get bad reviews, So yeah, I mean, it just makes sense. It's the fair thing to do, and it makes business sense. So it's same thing hiring a personal injury lawyer, but, and I talk all about the marketing, but don't hire a lawyer just because they market. That's just getting you to where you know. But I like to ask this question because I think this is what on everybody's mind. Not every person, but 90% of people that need a lawyer or think they need a lawyer is, do I need a lawyer? And if I do need a lawyer, why should I choose you over all these other lawyers out there advertising that I see on the billboards and on TV and social media and whatever? And if you don't have that answer, you got a problem. I think, but like I said, I never promised I'd get them the most. I mean, I tried to get them the most, but that won't what differentiate me, because everybody always said, we're tough, we're aggressive, we care, we'll get you to maximum recovery. And my past clients told me what I did, what my differentiator was or whatever. It just depends. People, when they're picking a lawyer, I think it would be like me and you going to pick a brain surgeon. It's an important deal, right? For them, it's their life. We do it every day. And so it's not that big a deal to us. It's part of what we do. It's like but if we're going to pick a brain surgeon, we're going to do due diligence. We're going to ask them, we're going to talk to them and make sure that this is a good fit, make sure they know what they're doing, look at their reviews, check with the medical board. I mean, those things. I think people should do that. I mean, I think they should check and make sure, that they got any violations of, or been censored for stuff that had to do with clients. Like I said, I had a thing on some marketing one time, but I don't think that had anything to do with my character as far as my ability to practice law or my ability to care about my clients. That was just a clerical error, which I took responsibility for. I don't even know if they even published it, to be honest with you. I think the big deal was, I didn't dilly-dally around, which some people stick their head in the sand, that's when you get in big trouble as a lawyer.
Yes.
You can't ignore it. It's not going to go away. I promise you. But yeah, I mean, I think people should, I think that's the big deal though. I think it's got to be a good fit, but I think they got to really go through, check their reviews, talk to them, have a good feeling about it. I don't know about you, but when I've been checking out certain things, it's got a lot to do with if I feel comfortable with that person.
Right.
If I could trust them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think they're going to deliver. I think they're just telling me whatever I want to hear so they can get my money.
I think that's right. The trust factor, having the right fit. And also you want to go to a lawyer who treats you like family or puts you first.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some of them that don't, ones that just, I know there's a lot of people that have their cases handled that they've never talked to a lawyer the whole time, which, that would never happen in my firm. But I mean, these real mega firms, that happens sometimes. I mean, it does. If you're okay with that, then I guess that's fine. Me personally, I want to talk to my lawyer.
Sure.
And I've had to hire lawyers too, and I just got through hiring one for my estate purposes. And the girl was doing all this. I said, well, I don't mind giving you all the information. I said, but I really want to talk to a lawyer. I want to make sure that I feel good about it. So
I think that's the most important thing, is contact with your clients. I would agree with you.
Yeah.
And now with regard to marketing, what are the biggest challenges that law firms are facing now in the market?
The fact there's so many people out there in marketing, so many lawyers. I mean, people are getting inundated. Like when I first started my TV, there was probably $200 million a year spent on advertising on TV by lawyers. Now there's probably $5 billion. I mean, it's crazy. There's so many people don't know. I mean, that's why I think Google reviews have really been really good. That's why I really preach about getting your reviews, because people, especially people don't know, But I think the fact that technology, with the social media stuff going on now, they didn't teach us this in law school. They didn't teach us nothing about running a business, nothing about marketing. And really, I mean, I don't know if we'd had time for it anyway, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was pretty darn busy in law schools. So we had short trial, long trial. We had to do an appellate brief and argue before the actual court of appeals. And I mean, they worked us pretty hard. I mean, the law school I went to, you had very few electives. They had it planned out for you. But what's good, because it prepared before the bar. And I thought that was a good, I needed that. Some lawyers are smarter than I was, or students, but I needed that. I need that discipline. Yeah. But I think it's just so, especially PI law, not as much with criminal and domestic, in some of the other areas, but with personal injury and mass torts, it's just unbelievable the amount of hundreds of billions of dollars being spent. It's like car dealerships. They spend loads of money. Insurance companies, car dealerships, and lawyers are the top three spenders on the TV medium. And if you watch TV, which I don't watch as much of as I used to, but yeah, there's a lot of ads. When I go out of town, I'm staying in a hotel. I'm looking at TV at night. That's what I see. Insurance, car dealers, and lawyers.
So what brings value to a law firm?
Okay, value. I think there's several things. Let me just be sure I understand. When you say value, I mean, I know there's another definition of value, but are you talking like core values or value to the client or value to the firm?
I think the most important thing is value to the client.
Okay. I think the biggest thing that brings value to a law firm is number one, having a good set of core values and hiring people based on those core values, players that have your core values of what I said earlier. It's the preeminence, doctrine of preeminence. Everything you do should be for the betterment of the client. The client comes first. And if you can get a team of people that are smart and do the work and got those core values, got empathy, right? Got to have empathy. I see that sometimes with people who are taking new callers, they're trying to just get down information. They said they have no empathy. Those people don't need to be on the phone with clients because they're first impression, right? Sure. I always thought my receptionist was like, I paid them as much as I did my paralegals because I thought they were so important because, and I would call my office, and if they didn't answer just right, the second call would be to my office manager, say, listen, she didn't answer the way I had a certain way I wanted my phone answered every time by everybody. If I called the office, they didn't answer that way, I got very upset. I didn't jump on. I had somebody else because I want everybody to love me. So I want all my staff to love me. So I let somebody else be the bad guy. But and having good lawyers that are ethical, hardworking, and really care. Everybody says they care, but do you? I think clients really don't care about you till they know how much you care about them. I think your employees really don't care about you till they know how much you care about them. I really do. And it's not just talk. You gotta live it. Walk it. I mean, I've been watching like TV, MSNBC or MS, whatever it is, NBC station on news. And they said, don't listen to what they say, to politicians. Look at what they do. And that stuck with me. And that's just like in a law firm. You can say all you want to, but really it's what you do that counts. It's the walk you walk, not the talk you talk. I really believe that. That's why I had a client advocate hotline. I had a client bill of rights. They had an 800 line they could call anytime they had any problem with anybody in my law firm. And I had somebody take care of it. If they couldn't take care of it, I took care of it. So, we had the 30-day client satisfaction guarantee. The first 30 days, if they weren't happy the way we treated them in their case, they could get their file, no fees, no costs. And that was, it was first 30 days because I didn't want somebody to take advantage of me, my goodness, and wait right before we got ready to settle the case and then say, they called the insurance company and try to settle behind my back. I've had that happen before anyway, but I didn't want to give them a reason to, So I figured 30 days gets them a good chance to see if it's a good fit for them and me, right?
Do you have any success stories? I know you haven't practiced in a while, but is there any particular story or client that resonates with you that you felt really good about doing something to help them?
Yeah, I did workers' comp law too, and it was this Hispanic gentleman. I don't remember his name now. It's been years and years ago. He had a tragic accident, fell off scaffold, and was paraplegic from the waist down. And the insurance company was really like, the first year he didn't even have a lawyer. They were really jerking him around. He hired us, and I was able to get him a new house that was upfitted, for the wheelchairs and all that stuff, a shower, everything in the house, get it wheelchair, made. They had to pay for that. I got him a van that was wheelchair. They had to pay for that. I got it where his wife, who was working at McDonald's, instead of a nurse there, that she came and worked, and they paid her, what she was making at McDonald's, so that she could be there. And then I still had a part-time nurse. So I did all these things for him and got him the right medical treatment. Those are very tragic cases, by the way.
Yes.
And workers' comp, they don't pay for pain and suffering. So you're trying to take care of their needs, right? And their future medicals and things like that. So, and so we were in this case went on 5 or 6 years, and I finally got it settled right before I sold the law firm for what he wanted. He was pretty hard on us, and I don't blame him. I was too. So we got it settled, and he was able to move back to Mexico. He told me, he said, I'll be able to live like a king down there. He said, I can have a nice house, a maid, a driver. He said, this will take care of me the rest of my life. That and my family and my daughter, my wife won't have to work anymore. So, I felt like the money at the end was good, but I felt like all the stuff I did up front, like getting this house fitted up and everything, getting him a van, get this wife to be there to look after him, without her, having to lose the money she was making, plus they had his weekly check wrong. So I got that pumped up, all the things like that. So I felt like that was the thing where I really made a difference in somebody's life.
Sure.
That made me feel good. I hated it took so long to get the big money at the end, but you have to have perseverance, right? I mean, sometimes, especially workers' comp, they got to know, because the future medicals were the thing on that one. But see, he got out of Mexico, he gets medicals cheap, so he was going to be fine, So yeah, that made me feel good.
That's good. Other than treating clients like family or putting them first, what other advice do you have for anybody that wants to be involved in personal injury law?
Want to be a lawyer?
Correct. Yes.
I think you need to do it for the right reasons. And if you do it for the right reason and you treat people right, you'll make all the money you ever want to make. Some lawyers go in it, they go to PI because they want to make money. I might have been a little bit of me to be my first year or two, I'm not gonna lie. Okay. But it soon became evident to me that if you do the right thing and you got the empathy and you're trying to help people, the money will come. It just will. I mean, it's just the way it works. And every business I've been in, I've tried to do it that way, and it seems to work out for me, at least 90% of the time. So you won't, I would tell you, get it for the right reason to help people. It's a very good way to make a great living, even more than just a living, a really good lifestyle. But don't forget, I tell people, I just wrote an article for the magazine at PILMA, don't fall in love with your law firm, fall in love with your clients. I've seen some lawyers, their heads get too big and they forgot where they come from. And that's not a good thing. You need to fall in love with your clients, because they're the ones that really are paying your salary. It ain't because of you, it's because of them. I always tell all my staff that too, but for the grace of God, go us, right?
That's true.
Another thing is too, I would never let my staff talk bad about a client. I don't care how bad they were. I said, you got a problem with them, come to us, the management, and we'll take care of it. We'll get it straight. We'll fire them if they won't start treating you right. If they cuss, people cuss at our staff, I'd fire them. Make them apologize. I'd give them one. I said, you apologize, I'll give you another chance. If not, come get your file. I said, we're professions. I don't cuss at them. They don't cuss at me. They don't cuss at you. You're not going to cuss at them. And the staff really, they felt like we had their back, and they, that created some pretty good loyalty too, because they knew that we really cared about them, and that we knew that they were human beings and not just another robot, just trying to run the machine or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I think it's like I said, they knew I cared, so they cared about the firm and me and the clients. Staff did. But yeah, I think that's the big deal. If you're going to do it for the right reason. The money will come, I promise you. If you just treat people right, do the right thing.
Thank you, Ken. I really appreciate your time today. It was my pleasure. And thank you for all that great information. You have a great day.
All right. Thank you. My pleasure.
Take care.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast. the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.